Show a story with unexpected love, rivalry, and an unbreakable bond between two stepbrothers. Bound by Fate isn't just a romance, it's a tale of growth, understanding, and finding love in the most unlikely places. Their relationship shifted, tension grew, and emotions became impossible to ignore. What happens when two stepbrothers, bound by family yet drawn together by something deeper, must face the truth about their feelings? Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more captivating BL stories, romantic dramas, and heart-touching tales. Now, let's begin. The grand ballroom of the Thanapat Hotel was decorated with golden chandeliers, elegant floral arrangements, and soft classical music playing in the background. It was supposed to be a joyous event, the wedding of Mr. Thanapat and Ms. Rachini, but for their sons, it was anything but. Du sat stiffly at one of the tables, poking at his cake with his fork. He barely knew his new stepmother, and as for her son, Joke, he might as well have been a stranger. On the other side of the room, Joke stood near the bar, arms crossed, dressed in a crisp white suit. His dark eyes flickered over to Du briefly before he turned away. He didn't care about this wedding. His mother had been alone for years, and he had gotten used to that. Now, suddenly, he had a new stepfather and a younger stepbrother he never asked for. Their parents introduced them. Joke, this is Du. From now on, you two need to take care of each other, Ms. Rachini said with a hopeful smile. Du forced a smile. Hey. Joke barely acknowledged him, simply nodding before looking away. Du's thoughts, what's his problem? It's not like I wanted this either. Joke's thoughts, great. Another spoiled rich kid I have to deal with. And just like that, their Cold War began. The transition into living together wasn't easy. Du and Joke shared the same house but barely spoke unless necessary. Joke treated Du like he was invisible, which frustrated the younger boy to no end. The first argument happened over something stupid, the bathroom. Du, running late for school, banged on the door. Hurry up, I need to shower. Joke, inside, replied coolly, wait your turn. Du groaned. You've been in there for 20 minutes. The door swung open, and Joke stepped out, hair damp, towel slung over his shoulder. His expression was unreadable. Not my problem if you can't wake up on time. Du clenched his fists. You're such an ass. Joke smirked. And you're loud. Try not to be annoying this early in the morning. Du hated him. He really, truly hated him. Du wasn't exactly popular at school. Unlike Joke, who had a reputation for being untouchable, Du found himself on the receiving end of unwanted attention from a group of seniors. It started with small things, mocking his appearance, calling him rich boy, shoving his books off his desk. But then it escalated. One day, in the locker room after gym class, Du found himself cornered by a group of seniors. Hey, pretty boy, one sneered, blocking his path. Where's your bodyguard? Du rolled his eyes. Move. The senior grabbed his collar, shoving him against the lockers. What did you say? Du's heart pounded, but he refused to show fear. I said, move. The bully raised his fist. And then, suddenly, a hand caught his wrist mid-air. Let go, a deep voice commanded. Joke. He stood there, eyes cold, grip tight. The bully hesitated before scoffing and letting go of Du's collar. Didn't know he was under your protection, Joke. Joke didn't say anything, just glared until the seniors backed off. Du rubbed his neck, looking at Joke in confusion. Why did you? Don't be stupid, Joke muttered, walking away. But something had shifted. For the first time, Du saw something other than indifference in Joke's eyes. Was it concern? After the encounter in the locker room, Du couldn't stop thinking about it. Joke had stepped in for him. Joke had protected him. As they walked home from school later that day, the silence between them felt heavier than usual. Du, hands in his pockets, stole a glance at his stepbrother. Joke walked beside him with his usual detached expression, as if what had happened earlier didn't matter. But it did. "Thanks," Du finally muttered. Joke didn't look at him. "For what?" Du scowled. "For what?" "For stopping that idiot from rearranging my face." Joke exhaled, almost like he was irritated. "You need to learn how to handle yourself." Du bristled. "I was handling it." Joke finally turned his head, his dark eyes locking onto Du's. "Yeah. And how was that working out for you?" Du had no comeback. They reached the house, and Du expected Joke to disappear into his room like always. But instead, as Du reached for the door handle, Joke's voice stopped him. "If it happens again, tell me." Du turned, blinking. "What?" Joke looked annoyed, like he regretted saying anything. "Just, don't be an idiot, okay?" Du didn't reply. But something warm bloomed in his chest. Maybe Joke wasn't as cold as he pretended to be. The next few days felt weird. Du noticed the small things first. Joke waiting for him outside the school gates after class. Joke casually bringing an extra snack and tossing it on Du's desk without a word. Joke glaring at anyone who even looked at Du the wrong way. Du wasn't sure if it was just his imagination, but Joke was paying attention to him. And that was new. One evening, their parents had to attend an out-of-town business dinner, leaving Du and Joke home alone. Du, bored, lounged on the couch watching a movie. Joke, as usual, was at the dining table, scrolling through his phone. "You know," Du started, stretching, "for someone who's supposed to be my older brother, you're really bad at bonding." Joke didn't look up. "Because I don't want to bond." Du huffed. "You're impossible." After a few minutes of silence, Joke finally sighed and stood up. He walked over, grabbed the remote, and changed the channel. "Hey!" Du protested. "I'm watching something else." Du sat up. "You weren't even watching anything." Joke smirked. "I am now." Du glared, but instead of arguing, he sank back into the couch. They ended up watching the movie together, side by side, the quiet between them surprisingly comfortable. For the first time, it didn't feel like a war. And Du wasn't sure how to feel about that. Halfway through the movie, Du shifted to get comfortable and accidentally brushed his knee against Joke's. Joke didn't move away. Du glanced at him, his heart skipping a beat. Joke was still staring at the screen, but his body was tense. Du swallowed. It was nothing. Just a small touch. But then, why did it feel like something more? Du woke up the next morning feeling off. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about last night. About how he and Joke had sat there, watching the movie in silence. About how their knees had touched and Joke hadn't moved away. It was nothing. Right? And yet, it wasn't. The air between them had shifted, and Du felt like he was noticing everything now, the way Joke's voice sounded deeper when he was half asleep, the way he absent-mindedly ran his fingers through his hair when he was thinking, the way his shirt clung to his toned body after gym class. Du groaned, covering his face with his hands. What the hell is wrong with me? Downstairs, Joke sat at the kitchen table, sipping his coffee as if last night had never happened. Du scowled. Does he not feel weird about it? Am I the only one? From that day on, Du started noticing everything about Joke. When they walked home, Du found himself sneaking glances at Joke's hands. They were strong, capable, the same hands that had grabbed that bully's wrist so effortlessly. At dinner, when their parents spoke, Du couldn't focus. His eyes kept drifting to the way Joke's lips moved when he ate. At school, when Joke leaned against the wall during breaks, effortlessly cool and composed, Du felt something unfamiliar twist inside him. It was annoying. It was confusing. It was dangerous. And then, one afternoon, something happened that made it even worse. Du wasn't expecting to feel anything when he saw a girl from Joke's class giggling and touching his arm. But he did. His chest tightened. His stomach churned. He clenched his fists, forcing himself to look away. Joke wasn't his. Joke didn't even like him that much. So why the hell did it bother him? Joke must have noticed because later that day, as they walked home, he suddenly asked, "What's with your face?" Du blinked. "What? You look pissed." "I'm fine," Du snapped. Joke raised an eyebrow but didn't press further. But Du knew. He could feel Joke watching him, like he was trying to figure him out. Like he knew Du was lying. That evening, it rained. Heavy, unrelenting, soaking everything in its path. Joke had gone out to pick something up from a convenience store, and when he returned, he was drenched. Du stood at the doorway, watching as Joke peeled off his soaked jacket, water dripping from his hair. Without thinking, Du grabbed a towel and walked over. "You're an idiot," he muttered, throwing it over Joke's head. Joke froze. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then, Joke slowly reached up, gripping Du's wrist, stopping him from pulling away. Du's breath hitched. His pulse pounded in his ears. Joke lifted the towel slightly, just enough for their eyes to meet. Du, his voice was quiet, uncertain. Du didn't know what came over him, but he didn't move. He couldn't. The moment stretched between them, charged, electric. And then Joke let go. The warmth disappeared. The tension snapped. Joke stepped back, clearing his throat. "Go to sleep," he muttered, walking past him. Du stood there, gripping the towel, heart racing. Something was happening between them. And it was getting harder to ignore. After that night, Joke started avoiding Du. He left earlier in the mornings. He sat at a different table during lunch. He stopped walking home with Du, claiming he had things to do. At first, Du told himself he didn't care. If Joke wanted to act weird, then fine. But the longer it went on, the more it ate at him. One night, after dinner, he finally snapped. "You're avoiding me," Du said, arms crossed as he blocked Joke's bedroom door. Joke, already looking tired, sighed. "Move." "No." Joke ran a hand through his hair. Don't do this." "Do what?" "Ask why my own stepbrother suddenly acts like I don't exist." Joke's jaw tightened. "It's nothing." Du laughed bitterly. "Yeah. Then look me in the eyes and say it." Joke did look at him, but just for a second before quickly looking away. That was when Du knew. He wasn't the only one feeling this. A week later, one of Joke's friends threw a party. Du hadn't planned to go, but when a classmate invited him, he thought, why not? Maybe it'd be a distraction from the mess inside his head. It wasn't. Because Joke was there. And he wasn't alone. A girl sat beside him, laughing at whatever he was saying, leaning close, too close. Du felt his stomach twist, but he swallowed it down and grabbed a drink. A few hours later, he was outside, leaning against a balcony, lost in thought. That's when Joke found him. "You shouldn't be drinking," Joke said, pulling the cup from his hand. Du scoffed. "Oh, so now you care." Joke exhaled. "Don't start." Du turned to face him, eyes flashing. "No. You don't get to tell me what to do. Not when you've spent the last week running away like a coward." Joke clenched his jaw. "Du. You feel it too, don't you?" Du cut in. His voice was quieter now, raw. "This thing between us. And it scares the hell out of you." Joke stiffened. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then, before Du could stop himself, he reached out, grabbing Joke's wrist. "Say something," he whispered. Joke looked at him, and for the first time, his guard was down. But instead of words, he did something else. He pulled Du closer. And then he kissed him. It was fast. Messy. Desperate. But it was real. When they pulled apart, both of them were breathing hard. Joke stared at him like he was realizing something too late. Du, I. Before he could finish, someone called his name from inside the party. Just like that, the moment shattered. Joke stepped back. I have to go. And then he left. Leaving Du standing there, heart racing, lips tingling, wondering. What the hell happens now? The morning after the party, Du woke up confused, restless, and frustrated as hell. Joke had kissed him. Kissed him. And then ran away like it meant nothing. Du spent the whole day waiting for something, an explanation, an apology, anything. But Joke didn't say a word. At school, Joke went back to acting normal, like nothing had happened. Du, on the other hand, felt like he was going insane. During lunch, he slammed his tray down across from Joke. Joke barely looked up. What? Du leaned in, voice low. Are we really gonna pretend that didn't happen? Joke sighed and finally met his eyes. Du. No, don't do me, he snapped. You kissed me. Then you ran away. Now what? You're just gonna ignore it. Joke's expression tightened. He glanced around, lowering his voice. Not here. Du scoffed, shoving his chair back. Right. Of course. Gotta keep pretending, right? He stormed out of the cafeteria before Joke could stop him. After that, things only got worse. Du started acting recklessly. If Joke was going to act like he didn't care, then fine. Du could play that game. He flirted with random classmates, making sure Joke could see. He started hanging out with a guy from the drama club who was obviously into him. He laughed too loud, touched too much, did everything he could to act unbothered. But every time he did, he could feel Joke watching him. Every time someone got too close to Du, Joke's jaw clenched. His fingers curled into fists. One evening, as they were walking home, Joke finally snapped. What the hell are you doing? Du didn't even look at him. What do you mean? Joke grabbed his wrist, pulling him to a stop. Cut the act. Du wrenched his arm free. Oh, so now you care. Joke exhaled sharply. I always cared. Du's heart pounded. Then why are you acting like that kiss never happened? Joke looked at him, his eyes stormy. Because it shouldn't have happened. Silence. Du's chest tightened. He swallowed the lump in his throat. So that's how you feel? Joke hesitated. It's complicated. Du let out a bitter laugh. No, it's not. You either want me or you don't. Joke didn't answer. And that silence was the answer. Du felt something inside him shatter. Got it, he muttered, turning away. Forget it ever happened. He walked ahead, leaving Joke standing there. Joke didn't follow. For days, they barely spoke. The air between them was thick, suffocating. Every glance was heavy. Every silence was loud. Then, one night, it all came crashing down. Du was home alone. Their parents were out of town for a business trip. Joke had gone out and hadn't returned. Du sat in the dark living room, waiting. Not because he cared. No. He was just annoyed. That was all. But when Joke finally came home, past midnight, smelling like alcohol, Du's patience snapped. Where the hell were you? Du demanded. Joke closed the door behind him, kicking off his shoes. Out. Du's fists clenched. You're drunk. Joke smirked, stepping closer. So what? Du glared at him. You're unbelievable. Joke tilted his head, eyes dark. You're mad. Du scoffed. Why would I be mad? You can do whatever you want. Joke took another step forward. Then why are you waiting up for me? Du's breath hitched. I wasn't. Joke suddenly grabbed his wrist, pulling him closer. Liar. Du's pulse skyrocketed. He could smell the alcohol on Joke's breath, feel the heat radiating off him. You drive me crazy, Joke muttered, voice rough. Every time I try to stay away, you pull me back. Du's heart pounded. Then stop running. Joke exhaled sharply. Du didn't wait this time. He grabbed Joke's collar and kissed him. Joke froze for a second, then kissed him back. It was different this time. Desperate. Raw. Like they had both been waiting for this. Joke's hands found Du's waist, pulling him impossibly closer. Du's fingers tangled in Joke's hair, holding on like he never wanted to let go. When they finally broke apart, both of them were breathless. Joke rested his forehead against Du's. I don't know how to do this. Du swallowed, tightening his grip on Joke's shirt. Then we figure it out together. Joke let out a shaky breath. Yeah. Du smiled softly. Yeah. And for the first time. Joke smiled back. Du woke up feeling different. Not just because of last night, their kiss, their whispered words, the way Joke had finally let his walls down. But because for the first time, he wasn't confused anymore. Joke was still asleep beside him, his face relaxed in the soft morning light. Du watched him for a moment, heart full, then slowly got up. He knew the moment Joke woke up, things would get complicated again. Would he regret it? Would he pretend like nothing had changed? Du didn't want to find out just yet. So he left the room quietly and headed downstairs. He had just started making breakfast when he heard footsteps behind him. He turned to see Joke, still looking half asleep, his hair messier than usual. Du swallowed. Morning. Joke didn't answer right away. He just stared at Du. Then, without warning, he walked over, wrapped his arms around Du from behind, and rested his chin on his shoulder. Du froze. Joke. Shut up, Joke mumbled. Just let me stay like this for a second. Du's heart skipped. He felt the warmth of Joke's body against his back, the steady rise and fall of his breathing. Maybe, just maybe. Joke wasn't running anymore. From that day on, everything changed. Joke no longer avoided him. Instead, he waited for him after school. They still bickered, but now their fights always ended with Joke grabbing Du's wrist before he could walk away. And every night, when their parents were asleep, they'd sneak into each other's rooms and just exist together in the silence. But the problem was, they weren't exactly subtle. One afternoon at school, Du was getting his books from his locker when his best friend, Kim, leaned against the door. Kim smirked. So. You and your stepbrother, huh? Du's entire body locked up. What? Kim laughed. Dude, I'm not blind. You two keep making heart eyes at each other in the hallways. Du turned bright red. We do not. Kim raised an eyebrow. Oh, really? So Joke staring daggers at any guy who talks to you is just a coincidence? Du's stomach flipped. Joke was jealous. Before he could think too much about it, Kim sighed. Look, I don't care. Just be careful. If people find out. I know, Du said quickly. And that was the thing. They weren't just two normal guys falling for each other. They were stepbrothers. People would talk. Their parents would freak out. And that scared Du more than anything. One evening, while they were walking home, Du finally voiced his fear. We should stop this, he muttered. Joke stopped walking. What? Du clenched his fists. If people find out, it'll ruin everything. Our family, Our lives. Joke's jaw tensed. So what? We pretend we don't feel this? Du looked away. Maybe it's for the best. Silence. Then, Joke suddenly grabbed his wrist and pulled him closer. Du gasped as Joke's hand cupped his face, forcing him to look into his eyes. I don't care what anyone says, Joke said firmly. I don't care if it's hard. I don't care if it's wrong to them. Du's breath hitched. Joke's voice softened. All I care about is you. Du's chest tightened. Joke. Joke leaned in, resting his forehead against Du's. I'm not letting you go. And just like that, Du knew. He didn't want to let go either. The real challenge came when their parents found out. One evening, their mom walked into Joke's room without knocking. And caught them. Not kissing, just sitting too close, looking at each other like the rest of the world didn't exist. But that was enough. She froze. What's going on here? Du's stomach dropped. Joke, on the other hand, didn't even flinch. He just sat up straighter, staring his mother in the eye. I love him, he said simply. Du's breath caught. Their mom's face paled. Joke. I know what it looks like, Joke continued, and I don't care. Their father came into the room, taking one look at the situation before demanding an explanation. And that was the hardest part. The yelling. The disbelief. The pain. We're a family, their mom whispered, eyes teary. How can you do this? Joke's voice was steady. We didn't choose to be family, but we do choose this. Du held his breath, watching his parents' expressions shift. And then, finally. Their dad sighed heavily, rubbing his temples. We need time. It wasn't acceptance. Not yet. But it wasn't rejection either. And that was enough. For now. A week later, Du and Joke sat on the rooftop of their house, watching the sunset. Du leaned against Joke's shoulder. You really weren't scared, huh? Joke chuckled, pressing a kiss to Du's hair. I was terrified. Du smiled. Then why did you fight so hard? Joke exhaled. Because you're worth it. Du closed his eyes, finally at peace. They weren't sure what the future held. But one thing was certain, they weren't hiding anymore. And that was enough. The end.